One of his best normal attacks is back, medium, hard. It's the slow attack. It's got great range, and it's very, very fast. You can see it actually hits from the start of the round, and it's super, super quick. And he doesn't get a pop-up, but he can do like a special move, or he can put out his mine, and it'll be behind them, and he can go in. And if you want real damage, you have to commit. So you have to just do the mine, or just go in. So that's the trade-off. It's very, very fast, has a ton of range, but if you want real big, meaty damage, you have to do something unsafe, or just go ahead and use your bar meter. So you have to think about how you use it, but it's a great move to use.
I feel like a lot of people, once they start really getting into Red Hood, they're going to start feeling like his mind probably could use some exploration by a player.
Yeah, yeah. One of his other key normal attacks is his 4-2. It's 4-2-3-1. And the second hit is an overhead, and the last hit is a low. And this has great, great range. You can see it'll hit from even farther back. Now, the downside to this move is it's a high. So if the opponent is ducking or doing like a low poke or a low profile move, it'll whiff. But if you can condition the opponent not to move, like maybe you have the mine out or something like that, you can go for it. So those are kind of like two of his best normal attacks to use. Another thing I'd like to point out is with the dive, that not only does he have like the different versions, like up close, the far one is actually safe. So if the opponent blocks it, he's like slightly disadvantageous and they can't punish him. So it's a great way to get in. Like if you're kind of struggling in zoning and you're having a hard time, you can do it from full screen and he'll be right next to them and he can kind of go in or do like a meter burn back 3 or jump over them and they can't just automatically retaliate. So like Derek was saying, it's a great tool to like close the distance.
Right.
Another thing with his retreating move is you mentioned it's a wake-up attack. It's actually his only invincible wake-up attack. And it's not.
We're actually going to get more on wake-up attacks later, but yeah,
yes,
continue.
It's not fully invincible, but it does have some invincibility before he actually leaves the area. So the opponent's going to have to go out of their way to beat it. Like they're going to have to stop their pressure and think of like long-range, far-reaching moves that'll beat it. So it's a pretty good wake-up attack. But the downside is he doesn't get any damage unless he meter burns it. So it's like it's evasive and it's high mobility, but it's not great reward for him.
Right.
So I also wanted to talk about his mine. One of the cool things about it is his main combo starter, but it's also like a setup tool. So, and it also hits low. The opponent has to be crouching. So there's simple setups. Like a simple go-to setup would be you end your combo in this string, and then this is very, very hard to block because he said the second hit's an overhead, and this is a low. So you can go for this, and the opponent, you change your timing, the opponent has a very, very short amount of time to block it. And that'll knock them down. And then you can throw out another mine and start looping it. So there's a lot of creative things you can do in the corner, or you can do like mid-screen. You can also kind of use it as a shield. You can place it in front of you and then do some quick projectiles. So like maybe you think Bane's going to charge at you, you can have it down there, or you think maybe they're going to dash in, you can put it in mid-range. So it's not just a combo starter, it is that, and that's one of his best combo starters, but it's also kind of a thinking player's move.
A thinking player's
move,
I like that.
which is, that's totally what I'm all into setups and traps, you know.
Right. Sure you are. You've always been a setup player.
Oh, yeah.
So his character power, I'd like to go in a little bit more about that too. Like, the cool thing is...
I did that already.
Yes, but when you're blocking it, you have to keep in mind that the different enders have different recovery. Like, the low option is good, but it's actually punishable. So if Red Hood guesses wrong and you actually block low, he's going to get punished for it. The overhead is a little bit safer. Some characters are going to be able to punish it, but when you block it, you're left far away. So,
do you want me to do it for you, Steve?
No, I'm good. So you can see they're pushed back far, so unless they have a really good long-range move, he's going to be safer.
Sure.
So he has two options that are overhead low, and the reward's kind of decent, and they're somewhat punishable, or you can go for the throw. The throw is a true throw. Like, it'll actually hit you if you're stand blocking. The downside is it's a high, so the opponent can duck. But then the thing is, if they're ducking, that opens up the overhead.
Right. Sure.
And like you pointed out, if you meter burn it, they're still standing, and he is at a ton of advantage. He gets a free mix-up.
Yeah.
You are not moving. You're either blocking or you're dying.
Right.
So he's using a bar meter, and it's a high, but if it connects, it's party time for Red Hood.
Sure.
And then the big ender, not only does it look awesome, it actually does a lot of chip damage. It's safe. So that's kind of the option where if you're going for his pressure and they're blocking, and you're like, I don't want to go overhead low or throw. I don't want to mix them up. I just want to play it safe. I just want to get out, get the chip. The meter burn is your answer. You're going to get a decent amount of chip, you're going to be pushed back, you're totally safe.
Cool.
And then a final thing that's really cool is from the stance, he can exit it or he can actually shoot out of it. And this is really good. So like up close, you can kind of go into it and immediately just kind of get out. So maybe you go in, you don't want to play a guessing game at all, you just want to go back, you can do that. It's also just a great projectile. It's actually really fast, has good recovery, it does a decent amount of damage, so you can just throw the stars, do a couple anti-air stars, and this is actually just good.
It's just good.
Yeah, it's
Great
just a good
description.
review, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very cool cancel. And what I also like, Matt and Ken sent me some really cool combos with Red Hood, which I couldn't do.
Yes.
Is that, like, even mid-combo, you can go into the stance, cancel out of the stance, go back into the stance, and go into the
Yeah,
full
there's
string.
a
It's
lot
so
of creativity. Like, his normal attacks are not the most spectacular. They're pretty utilitarian. They kind of get the job, like a lot of just punches and kicks. They get the job done. It's the character power is where he really shines. So I think he's going to appeal to players that they like their traditional zoning, kind of the standard, you know, throw a fireball, you make the opponent jump, you want to anti-air them. But then if you have the creative side, the mind and the character power are going to be really cool. And I think that's what's going to really make him a special character.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
All right, moving right along. What else we got?
Well, we're gonna answer some questions.